Somewhere right now, a footballer is being paid £300,000 a week to do nothing, not to score, not to defend, not even to sit on the bench. He trains alone in an empty corner of the ground away from the team. He isn't injured, he isn't banned. He's perfectly fit. And his club is paying him a fortune to stay exactly where he is. Invisible. He's not the only one. At some clubs, there's a whole group of them. Football has a nickname for it, a dark one. They call it the bomb squad. So why would any business on earth pay millions to its own employees? To make sure they never work? Because the answer exposes something broken at the very heart of modern football. And by the end of this video, you'll see why clubs got so desperate they built a system that football is now moving to ban. Start with how a player ends up here. A club signs a star. Big fee, big contract, say 5 years on enormous wages. Everyone's happy, then it goes wrong. A new manager arrives who doesn't fancy him. Or his form collapses. Or he falls out with the club. Suddenly the club has a problem. They want him gone. But here's the wall. He's on a contract. A long, guaranteed, legally binding contract. The club can't simply discard him. His employment contract and football's regulations still protect the money he was promised in full, whether he plays or not. So the club has two choices. Sell him or keep paying him. And selling him, it turns out, is almost impossible, which makes no sense until you see who's really trapped. Because here's the strange part. The club doesn't just want to sell him. They're desperate to. Every week he stays costs them a fortune. And yet again and again, these players don't move. They sit. For months, sometimes years. Bleeding the club dry. Something is stopping a deal that both the club and common sense say should happen. And that something is the same force that traps selling clubs everywhere. The brutal maths of wages and contracts. Keep watching, because once you see it, the whole bomb squad makes perfect, painful sense. Put yourself in another club's shoes, Carol. You could sign this player. He's talented, he's available. But look at what comes with him. His wages are enormous, set back when he was a star, when a big club was competing to sign him. No other club wants to match that number for a player who's fallen out of favor. And he won't take a pay cut. Why would he? His contract still guarantees his basic salary. He can simply sit, collect what he's owed, and wait. Time is on his side, not the club's. So the selling club is stuck between two walls. They can't afford to keep him. And nobody will take him at his price. There's only one way out. And it's the most painful one of all. The club has to pay to make the problem leave. Sometimes that means loaning him out and covering most of his wages. So he plays for another team while your club still foots the bill. You're literally paying for a rival to use your player. Sometimes it means a payoff, handing him a lump sum just to tear up the contract and walk away. Paying someone millions to please finally stop being your employee. And sometimes, if none of that works, you do the coldest thing of all. You freeze him out, train him alone, keep him away from the squad, off the team photo, out of sight, hoping he gets so bored, so forgotten that he'll accept any move just to play football again. That's the bomb squad. Not laziness, not cruelty for its own sake. A pressure tactic, designed to push the player into accepting a move the club cannot otherwise force, but if it's a weapon, who's the target? And is it even allowed? Here's what makes it worse than it looks. That frozen out player isn't just a wage on a spreadsheet. He's an asset rotting in real time. Every month he doesn't play, his value drops. A striker who isn't scoring, a winger nobody's seen in a year. His price on the market falls and falls. So the club loses twice. They pay his full wages and watch the fee they could get for him melt away. It's like owning a supercar you're forbidden to drive, paying for the garage every month while it rusts. Multiply that across a whole bomb squad. One Premier League club recently exiled a group of players who had cost together well over £100 million in transfer fees alone, before a single week of those wages. That's not a squad. That's a bonfire of money, burning quietly in the corner of the training ground. And for years, clubs decided this bonfire was worth it. Which tells you how desperate the alternative was. So why accept the burn? Why not just keep the player and use him? Because of the rules we've talked about before. Spending controls. A club can only lose so much, spend so much before it gets punished. Points deductions, transfer bans. A big earner sitting in your squad clogging your wage bill is a weight around your neck. He blocks your spending room. He stops you signing the players you actually want. So freezing him out, even at huge cost, can feel cheaper than the alternative. Being stuck. Unable to build the team. Dragged down by a contract you regret. The bomb squad was never about the player. It was about clearing space. On the pitch and on the balance sheet. A cruel solution to a problem the clubs created themselves, by handing out contracts they couldn't undo. And that cruelty is exactly why football finally decided to step in. Here's the part that flips the whole story. For years, freezing players out was football's dirty little tool. Everyone knew. Nobody stopped it. Until now. The change was accelerated by a courtroom battle involving a former player named Lassana Diarra, who challenged football's transfer rules. In October 2024, Europe's top court sided with him and cracked the system open. What followed was months of negotiation. And in June 2026, FIFA, FIFPro, club representatives, and league representatives agreed on a new framework for football's transfer rules. In FIFPro's own words, demoting players or forcing them to train in isolation as a form of pressure will now be expressly prohibited. The new regulations are due to take effect in January 2027. In other words, the bomb squad, at least when it's used to pressure a player into leaving, is about to become explicitly outlawed under FIFA's rules. And the balance of power is shifting with it. Under the new framework, when a club breaches its obligations, a player can claim the full contractual pay still owed to him. In cases involving abusive conduct, additional penalties and damages may also apply. Freezing a player out will no longer be merely ugly. It could become financially and legally dangerous for the club. Some reporting has gone further, suggesting severely mistreated players may even try to terminate their contracts and leave without a transfer fee. But exactly how far that protection extends will depend on the final regulations and on future cases. Think about what that means. The bomb squad was a weapon clubs used against players. Now football is building a shield against it. The tool designed to trap them may soon become the mistake that sets them free. So the next time you hear a player is training with the youth team, or not in the manager's plans, or has gone quiet, you'll know exactly what you're looking at. Not a lazy star. Not a simple fallout. A contract nobody can escape, a wage nobody can stop, and a very expensive game of chicken between a player and the club that can't afford him. For years, the clubs held all the cards. Now, quietly, the rules are shifting. And the most expensive players to do nothing might just become the most dangerous to keep. That's what this channel is about. The money hiding behind the game everyone thinks they already understand. If this changed how you see your club's forgotten players, subscribe. Because next time, we'll pull another thread the game would rather you never touched. Where football meets finance, this is Inkoff's side.